Welcome to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We're live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in our spirit, but he is up in Martha's Vineyard as they are doing a showing of the Sharpton biodrama documentary, and he will be here next week. So you want to call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm attorney Michael Hardy. We will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We are so pleased to have with us today for our inspirational word, Pastor Anthony Wilcox, senior pastor of the Bible Day Church in Houston, Texas. We're also very pleased to have today for our keynote and standing in for Reverend Al Sharpton during the main part of the program today, Reverend Dr. David Brawley, senior pastor of the historic St. Paul Community Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, if it's Saturday, our dear sister Katrina Jefferson will be here with What's on Your Mind. If you've not had a chance to reach out to Sister Jefferson, who is the coordinator and special liaison to the president here at National Action Network, you can still do so. You can email What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call 877-626-4651. Of course, if it's Saturday, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house. So you want to call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is traveling up in Martha's Vineyard where they're showing his documentary, but we are here. The action is going forward, so call somebody and tell them the action is on the air. We always invite you every Monday to the NAN Youth Huddle, and they will meet on Monday, August 8th, live at the House of Justice Auditorium beginning at 6 p.m. So please spread the word and get into the action with our youngest and brightest dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. For more information on the Youth Huddle experience, you can call us at 877-626-4651 or email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. Also, we invite you to tune in today, Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. Today at 5 p.m., Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. Tune in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. That's MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. 5 p.m. today, Saturday, and 5 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday. So you want to make sure that you do that. But we are here. We are ready. The action is coming to you. So call somebody and tell them the action is on the air. Right now, brothers and sisters, Dr. Alvin Ponder, Vice President of the New York City chapter, will come with some additional announcements.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Good morning, brothers and sisters, listeners and viewers, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. Reverend Sharpton says Brittany Griner's sentence is a moral outrage. Reverend Al Sharpton condemned the 9-year prison sentence issued against WNBA superstar Brittany Griner in Russia. Reverend Sharpton is also urging the U.S. government to increase its efforts to bring her and her fellow American Paul Whelan home from Russia custody. Reverend Sharpton said, quote, "The sentencing of Brittany Griner to 9 years in prison is a moral outrage and a legal atrocity in any court in the world. In most places, including the United States, what she pled guilty to and was charged with would not even have merited a misdemeanor. It is a shameful and dark day when global athletics is subjected to politics and not due process. Let's not forget Brittany Griner not only entertained and won the hearts of many Americans, but for 7 years entertained and won the hearts of many Russians as she played basketball there. Reverend Sharpton noted that Miss Griner and Paul Whelan are, quote, pawns in some global political chess game that has nothing to do with them. They should be immediately released, he said. He called on President Biden and the United States government to redouble their efforts to do whatever is necessary and possible to release both immediately. Reverend Sharpton said, quote, he has used his platform as a civil rights leader and member of the clergy to urge Russian authorities to release Ms. Griner, who has been jailed since her February 17th arrest at a Moscow airport. Last month, she pleaded guilty, as you know, to drug charges after she accidentally packed vape cartridges with cannabis oil in her luggage. Reverend Sharpton has urged U.S. officials to allow he and his fellow faith leaders to meet with and pray over Griner for her spiritual well-being during the trial. Reverend Sharpton said, I also continue to ask for the Russian and U.S. government to permit me, with a delegation of clergy that I announced 2 months ago, to at least have an immediate visit with her, as we're concerned even more now with this heavy sentence about her spiritual and mental well-being. We ask for people all over the world to pray for Paul and Brittany and pray that we live in a world that those we may have political differences with are respected and regarded and not used in some other way. Progress in the Breonna Taylor case. National Action Network is encouraged that 4 officers have been arrested and charged over the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor. Ms. Taylor was killed in her home in Louisville, Kentucky on March 13, 2020 by plainclothes policemen who were executing a, quote, no-knock search warrant. Over the past 2 years, NAN has called for justice in this case. Ms. Taylor, age 26, was shot as officers stormed her apartment just after midnight while she was with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. This week, federal investigators say that 3 of the 4 officers conspired to falsify the arrest warrant that led to Ms. Taylor's death. We continue to stand with Breonna Taylor's family and will monitor all developments. Loudmouth, the headline, Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, a new documentary that chronicles the life and activism of the Reverend Al Sharpton, will premiere at this year's Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival on today, August 6, 2022, from 2:30 to 5 o'clock at the Martha's Vineyard Performing Arts Center. The documentary tracks Reverend Sharpton's activism in the 1980s all the way up to the George Floyd case and reveals footage never seen before. Remembering Bill Russell. National Action Network and Reverend Al Sharpton express our condolences on the recent passing of Bill Russell, a towering champion in the fight for racial and social justice. Mr. Russell marched with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. He spoke out against segregation in Boston public schools and backed Muhammad Ali in his opposition to the Vietnam War. And remembering Nichelle Nichols. Nichelle Nichols, now listen, made history for her role as a communications officer, Lieutenant Uhura, on Star Trek. An actress and singer, Ms. Nichols was also an activist. Like Bill Russell, she was a strong supporter of the civil rights movement and the work of the Dr. Martin Luther King. May they both rest in peace. Join NAN. Let us remain focused and committed on the work that still must be done to ensure that all Americans have access to the American dream. Encourage your family and friends to become a member of National Action Network today. Visit our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call 877-626-4651. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us, also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us, or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get to the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit, again, that's www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call 877-626-4651. Again, write it down, 877-626-4651. Just text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ponder. Right now, brothers and sisters, I'm sure you've got something on your mind, and our dear sister and special liaison to the president, she also manages things here at the House of Justice, is here with What's on Your Mind. Good morning, Katrina Jefferson.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are listening by way of WLB 1190 AM, to those that are here live at the fantastic House of Justice in the village of Harlem, and to those that are watching by way of our Facebook page and our website on live stream. Welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind, everything that's shared here, the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors, and don't reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you can interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is what's on your mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. We have, it looks like, we have a very robust dialogue on the way. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind today.
Yes, my name is Kazembe Bax. I'm from Brooklyn, representing the Universal Hip Hop Parade for Social Justice. I just want to thank Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network for creating this communications platform that I'm about to use. You know, fascism is being consolidated in this country, in Arizona in particular. And so I want to say to my Jewish and to my Latino friends that are listening, coalition is very important. If we're going to beat back the right wing in these upcoming elections, in less than 90 days, we need a broad coalition. So I urge, as a proud black nationalist, I urge my Latino and Jewish allies to stand with us so that we can beat back the right. The second and final thing I want to say is next week, Saturday, in Bedford-Stuyvesant, come to Von King Park. There's going to be a universal hip-hop parade starting there, going down Marcus Garvey Boulevard and then Fulton Street, where we will end our parade short because we are recognizing the late, great Al Van. There will be a major celebration at the Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Plaza for Al Van, and the Universal Hip Hop Parade is in solidarity with that. So I urge y'all to be in Bed-Stuy next week, Saturday, if you can. I know it's Harlem Week, but we got to do both. All right? Peace, everybody.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brother Kazembe, longtime man, member, and supporter of the organization. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind.
Good morning. My name is Douglas Murkison, and I'm from 148th Street in Harlem. This is what's on my mind. I'm coming to there for the Reverend Al Sharpton, and anybody who's listening and helping, I'm being killed.
Yes, and you've been here in the office before receiving resources from our crisis team, so guess what today is? Today we're going to have a special meeting with you right after to address your needs. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Mr. Murchison. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
morning, NAN family and friends. My name is Nadira Alameen, a lifetime member of NAN. I've been in the struggle for 40 plus years against police brutality and misconduct. Today, what's on my mind is the no bail reforms. I don't understand why no bail laws are allowed to allow repeat offenders to keep terrorizing businesses and residents. Criminal activity should not be rewarded with a get out of jail card before the police finishes their report. What lessons have these criminals learned of their no consequences for their actions? If Rikers jails does not accommodate facilities for low-level crimes, then let's create a program with the likes of Dr. Phil and others obtaining monies from corporation and government to deprogram bad behavior, giving guidance and discipline to some of these impressionable minds. Some of these parents, some of these young people's parents have been derelict in their responsibilities for guiding their children, and we need to offer them assistance and instruction and discipline when needed. The governor and state assembly must reassess the decision and come up with a better alternative. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was from our sister, Nadira Alameen, who is a lifetime member here at National Action Network. Good morning. Give us your name. Share with us where you're from, and tell us what's on your mind today.
Good morning, NAN family. My name is Reverend McGord Kennedy, and I come today, here's what's on my mind. At 83 years of age, we did a documentary, and it's called Cured. The Cured documentary has been nominated for an Emmy Award.
Wow.
So, 83 years old, all I can say is thank the NAN family, because I'm one of the founders of National Action Network, and teaching me through Reverend Sharpton and sticking to what we believe is our rights as LGBT people here and around the world. So, in that case, I'll say these 80s are turning out to be the best years of my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind today.
Good morning. My name is Al Sean. I reside here in Harlem. I just wanted to thank NAN for all their support and activism in the community. I see y'all.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And we're going to conclude this weekend's conversation with an excerpt from Reverend Sharpton's book, Rise Up, and this is from chapter 3. Now, we have a few copies here at the House of Justice, but the book is still available online. And this is chapter 3. Today, the Emmett Till of our time is George Floyd. Neither Emmett nor George knew anything about being a symbol for change, but they were nonetheless. The nation lifted them up. Similarly, the mothers of the movement are today's equivalent of Mamie Till. Just as Till became a driving force for change in the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, our collective mourning for George has likewise become a modern-day movement for justice. It was impossible for me not to think of Eric Garner and Emmett Till as I prepared to head to Minneapolis to lend my support to the Floyd family during the 2021 trial of Derek Chauvin. Despite the overwhelming evidence, the perpetrators in the killings of both Eric and Emmett had gotten away with murder. I comforted myself with the reminder that, at least in the case of James Byrd Jr., the murderers were brought to justice. As I packed my suitcase for Minneapolis, I steeled myself for what would undoubtedly be a difficult journey. And that concludes this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind the thoughts and the viewpoints you heard here were simply those of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you are invited to interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us your thoughts at What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is What's on Your Mind at nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Back to you, Attorney Hardy.
All right. Thank you, Sister Jefferson, for What's on Your Mind, and always a great segment. So we thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, we're going to go In the House. In the House is right here at the House of Justice, and the work that the committees do here to make NAN happen and bring it across the country. We are so pleased to have with us for In the House segment today our New York State, New York City coordinator and crisis manager, Derek Perkinson.
Good morning, NAN. Good morning, National Action Network. Thank you to our founder and president, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, and attorney Michael Hardy, NAN staff, NAN membership, and our wonderful, hardworking NAN volunteers. My name is Derek Perkinson. Our crisis steering committee meets every Friday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. via Zoom. We gather on this call to discuss the tough crisis cases and pool our collective knowledge and resources to assist as best NAN can. We always are open to having assistance in serving our crisis callers, so please join NAN today, 877-626-4651. In the month of July and August, NAN has been contacted to assist with a case out of Tennessee. Ms. Marsha Lawrence called out of Albany. According to Ms. Lawrence, her nephew in Tennessee, age 22, was riding his bike to the store in Sevierville, Tennessee, when a white man, age 43, called him a derogatory racial names and threw a bottle at him. The bottle struck Rashawn in the head, knocking him off his bike. A physical altercation took place. The police were called and Rashawn was arrested, not the other man. He was arraigned on July 8th and was charged with attempted murder. Rashawn was injured when a bottle hit his head. He is taking medication currently for an ear infection, and Ms. Lawrence stated that her nephew is from Jamaica, West Indies, and he was only in town in Tennessee to visit his girlfriend. The family reached out, and the local NAN chapter in Tennessee is providing resources and support on the ground. I will keep you updated on this case. We also have a case out of Tennessee from Ms. Mullins. She called about her son down in Clarksville. He's in jail. He's been there for 4 years. Have not had trial. Have not had any sentencing. Posted bail and is denied a bail reduction continuously. He has had 2 heart surgeries while incarcerated. They are not giving him his medical care, and they're not telling him why they're not taking his case to court. She said that they want him to testify against some people in Clarksville, and he won't do it, and she believes that's the reason why he's sitting in jail all this time. The Tennessee chapter is also on this case. NAN got a call from Katera Gall, who called about her baby brother, Joshua Graves, being murdered. Joshua had been in the military for 5 years. He was 26 years old at the time of his death. He was stationed at Fort Campbell Military Base in Kentucky. On July 15th, the family gets a call from a woman claiming to be the wife of Joshua. Later found she just shares the same last name. She said Joshua had died. When asked what happened, she didn't know. When the family informed her that they will be coming up immediately, she said, "You cannot come because it is a crime scene." The family immediately called the base to find out what was going on. They were told they had to wait for an autopsy. The family feels the military is hiding a lot and they won't even give us his body. The family was denied having the body shipped home and was told that the body will be cremated without their consent. The family says they have gotten nothing but run around. They were like answers. A higher up within the military hinted at foul play to the family, but fearful of speaking up. It was also shared with the family that exactly 1 month before Joshua's death, June 15th, the beneficiary on his life insurance policy was changed away from his mother to the unknown woman with the same last name. NAN, can you please help our family? To date, Mr. Joshua's body has been cremated and we are still working on this case to resolve this case. Some good news, NAN was called to help protect a community in Florida called the Community of Royal, which is located in Sumter, Florida. It's a nationally unique example of an increasingly rare aspect of African American history. Royal may be the only remaining rural African American town in the nation. The community's existence for approximately 150 years means it directly intersects several important historical themes in both Florida and the nation. Royal's earliest African American settlers were granted land patents in the 1870s, with some likely present prior to this. Over the following century, the town developed into a substantial agricultural community. Today, many of the descendants of these earlier black agriculturalists continue to occupy the buildings and properties developed by their ancestors. Oral histories with elders informs in recent decades suggest the potential that many of these early residents interacted with free African Americans who arrived in previous decades. Historical documents and archaeological evidence note the existence of free blacks in the area during the 1830s, Royalist strong, vibrant community, and they were threatened by, today Royal is no longer isolated, and development represents the primary threat to the community's historical integrity. Royal specific cultural displacement challenges from Florida Department of Transportation and Florida Turnpike Exchange proposing turnpike extensions that will run through Royal, taking out 2 churches, the community center, the historical and enrichment center, and the old slave cemetery. Royal comprises over 3,600 acres. As a result, lost lands parcel requesting rezoning from agriculturalists could become Sumter's new industrial park, a major threat to Royal's characteristics. I'd like to suggest that July 4th, this past week, the Florida Department of Transportation has completed the alternative corridor evaluation study without recommending a specific corridor and will not pursue the project any further until options can be reassessed to address the concerns of the department and community. And this was done in conjunction with our chapter down in Florida, Serena Paramore, and the Miami chapter. And this is the crisis report. Please join today, 877-626-4651. No justice.
No peace. All right, thank you for that. Brothers and sisters, it's Saturday, so our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, in the house.
Like a ship that's tossed and driven by an angry sea, with the storms of life are raging, and its fury falls on me. I wonder what I have done to make it rain so hard to run. And I say to my soul, take courage, the Lord will make a way somehow. Oh, the Lord will make a way somehow. Beneath the cross I bow, He will take away each sorrow. Let Him have you burdened down. When the load weighs down so heavy, and the waves upon my brow, there's a sweet relief in knowing the Lord will make a way somehow. Oh, when the storms of life are raging, and the winds are cold out, He will take away each sorrow. Let Him have your burden down. Oh, when the load weighs down so heavy, and the waves upon my brow, there's a sweet relief in knowing the Lord will make a way somehow.
That is our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by Chris Garland. Brothers and sisters, it is indeed our privilege today to have with us the Deputy Manhattan Borough President, Keisha Sutton James. She's going to give us some highlights of the National Action Network and the Manhattan Borough President's Office Cannabis Forum. She's here to recap it, so let's give a big welcome to Manhattan Deputy Borough President, Keisha Sutton James.
Good morning, NAN family. How's everybody doing today? I love it. God bless. So, yes, this Wednesday, very exciting. So let me back up and say, The Manhattan Borough President's Office has been very focused on this issue around the rolling out of the cannabis industry as a whole. As many of you, I'm sure, know, cannabis use was legalized last year, and the state is going through a process of figuring out how to get cannabis produced and then rolled out into the market as a business, and then how to share the entrepreneurial opportunities, frankly, with people throughout the state. Our office has been really focused on it. One of the borough president, Mark Levine's priorities, one of his top 3 priorities is equity, and ensuring that this rollout happens in an equitable fashion is a top priority for our office. Obviously, this is a space where we all know a great deal of harm has been done to our community over decades. And this is an opportunity to right some of the wrongs. So that is why our office is so focused on it. I'll say personally, I'm focused on it for the same reasons. I'm also focused on it because having also come from an entrepreneurial family, I understand how, and our family having been really lucky to enter our business when we did, and that was just because it was pure luck, frankly. And then luck entering the business right at the beginning of a new industry, frankly, and then figuring out that we were in this opportunity right as it opened up, and then going and trying to get as many, to expand as much as possible was what enabled my family to be able to expand in the business. And so I see a really rare opportunity. It's very rare that you're able to see the beginning of an industry and to be able to mark the beginning of an industry. I know in prior work that I did when like social media was starting to work, I was working with these investors and they were saying, you know, we're investing in LinkedIn. And I was like, what the heck is LinkedIn? And why would anybody want to like share their personal information? You know, and little did I know, obviously, that MySpace was going to be a thing in the past, Facebook was going to kill it, LinkedIn was going to kill it. So I see these moments as really important for us to focus on in terms of getting in at the ground level. So I feel very strongly. And the other thing is, having kind of come from a model where I've been close to Black entrepreneurs who contribute to community, who give back to community, I think, you know, we can't feed ourselves if we don't have a meal ourselves. We can't feed our communities if we don't have a meal ourselves. So I am pretty passionate about this. So we did this forum this week, thank God, in partnership with NAN, the Borough President's Office. I think we've done 5 of these. And this is the last for now in this series in partnership with NAN. Thank you so much to Derek. Where'd you go, Derek? Derek is missing. Thank you so much to Derek Perkinson for partnering and getting this done and moving it forward. Yes. We had a great number of amazing speakers, starting with Chair Tremaine Wright, Chair of the Cannabis Control Board, Kevin Kim, Commissioner of the New York City Small Business Services, which is the city agency that is going to be tapped with really being in charge of rolling out all of the services and supports to help people apply for licenses and enter the business. Dr. Yasmin Hurd, who is the Ward Coleman Chair in Translational Neuroscience. Don't know what that is, but she was brilliant. And Director of the Addiction Institute at Mount Sinai, Behavioral Health System Departments of Psychiatry, Neuroscience, and Pharmacological Sciences. In short, this sister, she's a Black woman. In short, this sister is the person who is leading is either the leader or amongst the leaders in addiction studies nationally, as well as the study of the impact of cannabis on the brain, of cannabis as a treatment for pain addiction, as cannabis as a treatment for opioid addiction in order to combat opioid addiction. She was brilliant. Also Michelle Fields, who is a brilliant attorney, strategic consultant, and global advisor at the Mary Jane Consulting Group. Jesse Campoamor, who is founder of Campoamor and Sons. He's consulting in the space, but he was the person who, in Governor Cuomo's office, was charged, frankly, with drafting and working with the legislature and drafting the legislation that we're now, living with, working with. Jamil Myrie, president and founder of the Black Cannabis Business Alliance. 6, and Regina, and our very own Regina Smith, executive director of the Harlem Business Alliance, who I'm sure many of you know has been a valiant servant, frankly, and advocate in this space. She has pushed tirelessly for the legislature to really focus its work on not just legalizing cannabis and not just rolling this out just kind of willy-nilly, but to focus on what she calls the most harmed, which obviously is Black and then Latino. The legislation has been written in a way that includes veterans and MWBEs and distressed farmers, but she has been, obviously very focused on advocating that as each of the licenses rolls out, that the social equity mandate is focused in a more narrow way. So, a couple of updates. As I said, Dr. Hurd was brilliant, and she talked about what some of the risk factors are in addiction. And one of the things that is illuminating for me is because, having grown up here, 70s, 80s, 90s, and having, still live here, obviously I encounter a lot of people who have difficulties with addiction. And I know oftentimes our folks they told me I had forever to talk, and now she's telling me to speed it up and get out of here. I'm just playing. All right. Literally is the first time they asked me to speak, I was like, I can't talk about this for that long, but I guess I can. So the addiction, I'll just put a pin in this and say that from Dr. Hurd, really important to understand that some of the stress factors for addiction, the risk factors for addiction are genetic, yes, but also the stressors that our lives that we encounter. So living in under stressful circumstances, encountering abuse, et cetera, et cetera. So when you are aware of people who are, as many of us are, most of us are, it's important to counterbalance those stressors with therapies, with this kind of experience. Obviously, for me, a spiritual experience is really helpful in kind of relieving the stressors. But we can't let these things go unanswered because they are a risk factor for addiction. Really quickly, Kevin Kim talked about all the services that some of the services that the Small Business Alliance will be, that the small business services will be offering. They'll be offering technical assistance. They'll be working out of the SBS hubs that are all around the city. They're still working on figuring out a lot. And frankly, they're waiting on OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, for them to figure out a lot that still has to be done. And Tremaine Wright, Chair of Cannabis Control Board, the most important thing I want to highlight from them, is that CARD, the Conditional Adult Use Recreational Dispensary license, which is going to be exclusively offered to people who have a prior conviction for a marijuana-related charge that happened before March 31st, 2001, and their spouses, dependents, parents, not siblings, spouses, dependents, there's another category. So it's not just the person who was convicted. That this isn't a license opportunity. It's exclusively going to be offered to these folks. It opens up, that license opportunity opens up at the end of August and will be open for about a month. On their website, on the Cannabis Control Board website, is a mock-up of what the application will look like so people can start to gather the materials to think about applying. It's an opportunity to own a dispensary. New York State, through DASNY, is going to be basically like citing all of 150 locations, at least 150 locations in New York State that they have determined are the best located and that are in in the restricted, not in the restricted areas, meaning within a certain distance of a church or within a certain distance of a school. They're going to be citing these spaces, giving these spaces to the applicants, and then they're also raising $200 million to give low-interest loans to these applicants. They're building the spaces out and giving $500,000 to $1.5 million loans to these applicants. So I encourage people, if you know anybody who has had a prior conviction for a marijuana-related charge before March 31st, 2021, in New York State, I should say that it's not a federal charge, it's got to be a New York State charge. Please, and I'm sorry, there's one very important condition as well. They have had a business that has run successfully, profitably for 2 years, anytime in the last 10, 15 years. I encourage you to ask them to, to consider applying. Last two things, Katrina, I'm stopping, I promise. Last two things, okay, is that you can find the video for this event on NAN's YouTube page. And there will be more coming from the Borough President's office in the coming weeks. Thanks, everybody.
All right, Keisha Sutton-James, thank you so much for that report. You know, her best job is when she worked for National Action Network and coordinated one of our national conventions. But right now, brothers and sisters, once again, our Minister of Music, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
I will be with you. I will be with you. I will be with you. If you trust me, trust me, trust me. I'll fight your battle. I'll fight your battle. I'll fight all of your battle if you would only trust me. Trust me. Trust me, for I am that I am. I have all
Minister Tyrone Richardson, our musical director here at National Action Network, accompanied by Chris Garland. Brothers and sisters, we are pleased to have with us today for the Inspirational Word segment, Pastor Anthony Wilcox, Senior Pastor of Bible Day Church in Houston, Texas. Let's give him a welcome.
It is my pleasure to be here all the way from Houston, Texas. I want to greet you in the matchless name of our soon-coming King. We honor Dr. Sharpton and the tremendous work he does to my precious friend, Pastor Bartley, who has afforded me this opportunity. They are intoxicated with the awareness of God's relationship with his people and to all men. They are intoxicated with the awareness of God's relationship to his people and to all men. They are drunk. They are overwhelmed with the awareness of God's relationship to his people and to all men. Who are they? They are the prophets. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Hosea, Amos, Micah, Habakkuk. These men were used of God to describe God through his passions, his feelings, his emotions, his sentimentality. Abraham Herschel writes in his book, The Prophets, this statement that I'm repeating. He called it the pathos of God, the feelings of God, and chief among them was this desire for justice. I'm moved by that because the prophets have come to Harlem this morning to declare God's concern for justice grows out of his compassion for men. Justice is not important for its own sake. Justice, the validity of justice and the motivation for its practice is, help me, Holy Spirit, it lies in the blessing that it brings toward men. Justice. The prophets did not declare that there was a divine relationship to some absolute principle called justice. No. Justice exists in relationship to a person. Justice exists in a relationship to a person. If you don't get anything out of this devotion, I want you to get this. Justice exists in its relationship to a person, and it is something done by a person. Injustice is not condemned because it broke some law. No. Injustice is not condemned because it broke some law. Justice is this concern for the welfare of others. It suggests that somebody was hurt. Somebody was violated. Some person was killed. Justice is not some lofty abstraction, some intellectual idea around Jewish prudence. No. Justice is about a person who has been violated, who has been injured, who has been killed. I'm moved by this idea because Eric Gardner said, I can't breathe. George Floyd said, there's no air. 9 minutes, a knee on his throat. Chavez casually had his hand in his pocket while his knee her house. Justice is not about some abstraction, but it exists because it relates to a person. A person. A person. What is the image of a person, Pastor Will? Well, a person is a being whose anguish, whose pain rises to the heart of God. Exodus 22, around the 22nd verse, it says, you shall not mistreat the widow or the orphan. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry. If he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. I'm trying to tell you that justice exists because it relates to a person. When Cain murdered his brother Abel, the word denouncing the crime did not proclaim, you have broken a law. No, it said instead, and the Lord said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying out to me. I'm moved by this idea because God is always given to justice because of his compassion toward us. He is the God who is involved. He is the God who is near. He is the God who is concerned. The writer of Hebrews said it in a different way. He said, we have a God who can be touched by the feelings of our infirmities. I'm trying to tell you that justice exists because of a person, and God is most concerned. This is why the prophets were intoxicated. The prophets were inebriated. The prophets were drunk. They were boozed. They were buzzed by the awareness that God had an intimate relationship with his people. On my way to my seat, I need to say that maybe you and I ought to be intoxicated. Maybe you and I ought to be drunk about the awareness of God's concern for his people. The old Pentecostal people that raised me used to sing, what a friend we have in Jesus. Pastor Anthony Wilcox, senior pastor, Bible Day Church in Houston, Texas. We also just want to note we're so pleased to have with us the mother of Eric Garner, Gwen Carr, is with us. We welcome her this morning. But right now, brothers and sisters, the Change Ensemble.
I'm so glad.
ensemble under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson, further accompanied by Chris Garland. Brothers and sisters, it is indeed our honor and privilege today to bring up our special guest, as we have told you throughout the broadcast, the Honorable Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton, founder and president of National Action Network, is up in Martha Vineyards for the African American Martha Vineyards Film Festival, where they're showing a showing for Loudmouth, which is the documentary of Reverend Sharpton. But someone that has known the struggle, been in the struggle, has worked in so many ways to bring about change in our country, in our nation, in our city, in our state. We are here today. He is the pastor of the historic church, St. Paul Community Baptist Church, and he is with us today to bring us our keynote message. We're pleased to have with us the Reverend Dr. David Brawley. Let's welcome.
Good morning, NAN. Thank you so much, Attorney Hardy, and to our inspirational speaker who blessed us just a few moments ago, to the Reverend Al Sharpton, who I esteem as my bishop. I have called on him in the past to preach for us at the St. Paul Church, and he has never ever turned me down. And so when I received the call to stand today, I had some other things scheduled, but it dawned on me that the Reverend Al Sharpton has never turned me down. So I changed, how you say it, everything on my schedule to be here today. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the work that the Reverend Al Sharpton does and the ways in which he is an advocate and a voice crying out in the wilderness, and the ways in which he has organized us and been on the front line for justice. We should give the Reverend Al Sharpton a big hand this morning. I want us this morning, in the spirit of the songs that have been offered today, and also the inspirational word, to look this morning, the biblical text, the book of Judges. And I want to share this morning from chapter 6, a very familiar narrative, but I wish to offer it today for your consideration. Verse 11, the New Revised Standard Version reads this way. The angel of the Lord came, and he sat under the oak that was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite. His son Gideon was threshing wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from the Midianites. Then the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty or valiant warrior." Gideon said to him, "Please, my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened? And where are all his wonders that our fathers told us about?" They said, "Hasn't the Lord brought us out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites, or to Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and deliver Israel from the grasp of Midian. I am sending you." He said to him, "Please, Lord, how can I deliver Israel? Look, my family is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the youngest in my father's family. But I will be with you," the Lord said to him. "You will strike Midian down as if it were one man. Then he said to him, if I have found favor with you, give me a sign that you are speaking with me. Please do not leave this place until I return to you. Let me bring my gift and set it before you. And he said, I will stay until you return. Amen. I want to tag this text for our consideration today, when God calls you up. When God calls you up. There is a phenomenon that's talked about in the psychological community called imposter syndrome. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a deep, abiding fear that you are not enough. It's a deep, abiding fear that not only are you not enough, but you will be found out that you are not enough. This concept was espoused in the 70s, predominantly was identified and associated with women in the workplace, but has gone on to evolve, that it is considered something that most of us deal with from time to time. That when we're in certain spaces, certain places, we may have that same deep, abiding fear that we are not enough. I knew you wasn't going to say anything when I said that. So I figured let me just get a witness today. I had a conversation, parenthetically, reading with Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and recognized that she identified herself as a person who from time to time deals with imposter syndrome. Michelle Obama, attorney. Michelle Obama led organizations. Michelle Obama won several boards, and lest I need to remind you, the former First Lady of the United States of America. And she says to this day, she still grapples with imposter syndrome. She tells this story. She tells this story of being in England and there having a conversation as she was entering into an event there in England. She's talking to the Queen of England. She's rehearsing in her mind all of the protocol one needs to have to be in that space. And all of a sudden the Queen of England said, are you trying to remember all of that protocol? And she said, yes, I am. And the Queen of England said, you know, all of that is just rubbish. She said, the most important thing is just get in. I came all the way from the Republic of Brooklyn to tell somebody you are enough. All you have to do is get in. Get in. In this moment, we fight all of the isms of our society. We deal with environmental racism, the lack of affordable housing, police brutality, the racism and sexism and misogyny and patriarchy, and all of the isms of our world. And yet, I came to declare today that we are enough. In reading this text, there is a temptation to see the call of Gideon as a call of singularity. That God is only calling one person to do all the work. But I've come today to tell you that God is calling all of us as a collective to do the work, to stand against the systems of our day, to stand against oppression. I think it's Dr. Kenneth Ingwa in his book, Let the People Live, he goes on to say in that text, he says that let my people go is in service to let my people live. Let me say that one more time. Let my people go is in service, that prophetic proclamation. Let my people go, spoken to the Pharaoh, spoken to the empire. Let my people go. Go where? Well, let my people go is in service to let my people live. How should we live? We should live with deep dignity. How should we live? We should live having fresh water to drink. How should we live? We should live so that we don't have to live in fear in our own communities. For police departments that are supposed to protect us, protect and serve. Yes, beloved, let my people live ultimately is the goal of justice. Let me say that one more time. Let the people live. Let our young sons live. Is in the service of justice. Let our seniors live. In part of the fight that I'm in today with my congregation and others who are allied and working in affordable housing, we discovered some time ago that in this city, in the city of New York, by the year 2030, pre-pandemic, that seniors in New York City would not have places to live. That many of our seniors would ultimately have to live their golden years living on the couches of their sons and daughters. Some of our seniors now homeless, classified as being homeless in our city. The same seniors that built this city. The same seniors that have brought stability to our community. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you want stability, keep the seniors in the community, because seniors know what everybody is doing. Seniors know everything that's going on. And I declare today, it's unjust that seniors who have built this city have to leave this city. Seniors who indeed have sacrificed so much can't live with dignity in our city. Yes, beloved, let the people live in affordable, dignified housing. Affordable to who? When you use AMIs that literally price black people and brown people out of affordable housing and set structures in place where we can't afford to live in our communities, where we're being pushed out of our communities by way of gentrification. Let the people live. When we deal with food, scarcity, and when we deal with environmental racism, when we can't find healthy foods in our community, let the people live. When we must deal with land scarcity and food sovereignty, let the people live. It is the context, the backdrop of our text this morning. The people are oppressed. The people are dealing with the isms. The people are dealing with Midianite oppression. And we locate this morning Gideon in a wine press. Gideon who has no title. Gideon who has no position. Gideon who has no status. And yet the angel of the Lord meets Gideon in a wine press. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why isn't the angel approaching a prophet? Why isn't the angel approaching some king or someone with status and power? Because true change really never happens from the top down. But true change happens from the bottom up. Let me say that one more time. True change never occurs from the top down, but it occurs from the bottom up. Because the people on top want to stay on top. They want the arrangement to stay like it is, status quo. But if true change is going to happen in our communities, if true change is going to happen in our cities, if true change is going to happen in these yet-to-be United States of America, that true change will only happen from the bottom up. Yeah. As a matter of fact, the wine press. Where is the wine press? Attorney Hardy, the wine press is not on a mountain. But the wine press is usually in an enclosed, hidden space. Way too many of us are in a wine press mentality. Living out of sight. Living in hiding. Living not exposing our true and authentic capacity, skill, talent, and selves. The text says, the angel of the Lord shows up at the wine press. Can I tell you where the talent is? The wine press. Can I tell you where the future of America really is? The wine press. Can I tell you it's those who have been marginalized, those who have been alienated, those who have been excluded from the narrative of America. That's really where most of the talent is. The talent is really in the wine press. That's the message of the visitation of the angel to Gideon in the wine press. Real talent is in the wine press. I wish I had at least one witness today. I wish I had one witness today. I know of returning citizens who we worked with and have noted when they've gotten real opportunities to exhibit their talents and their abilities, they've been able to move from the wine press to the thrashing floor. When our children who are oftentimes sequestered to zip codes, literally where education is a dead zone. When our children are given ample resources, when our children are given teachers with passion, who are skilled pedagogues, I've come to discover that our children do well. I think I need a witness in the house. I remember about over 10 years ago, with a deep concern for our zip code, discovering that many of our young men were falling through the cracks academically. I went to the Department of Education and said, I want to start a school for black and brown boys. And what they said to me was, you sure you don't want to do something easier? The next thing they said to me is, you do understand, if we give you the authorization to do this, we're setting you up to fail. They said to me, you have chosen a hard thing. There's no way you can succeed. Why don't you allow those who know how to do the work? I said, well, here's the problem. You've been at the helm long enough and you still ain't getting it done. So maybe somebody with some passion and somebody who has a sense of care for these young sons in our own zip code because they're our sons. Perhaps if we do the work, maybe we can educate our own children. And I never shall forget, the first few years were difficult. We had to struggle and figure out how to get it done. We had meager resources, but the one resource we had, we did not have to advocate for. We did not have to legislate for. we had the passion to educate our own sons. We decided if we just show them some love and high expectations, that they will live up to our expectations. We discovered, in the words of the Reverend Dr. Jeremiah Wright, you want to put a crown over the heads of our young sons so that they have something to grow up into. We put a crown over their heads. And can I tell you something, NAN family? After a few years, here's what happened. Not only did they surpass the district, that wasn't a big feat to most. Not only did they surpass the city of New York and the state of New York, but they went on to become a reward school. They went on to surpass every ethnicity in the city of New York. They have excelled and surpassed everyone because guess what? The talent oftentimes is in the wine press. But somebody has to intervene. Somebody has to believe. When the angel shows up to Gideon in the wine press, it's a message to us of where the real talent is. The talent oftentimes is on our streets. Some of the most brilliant business-minded people in the world are not in high-rises, in boardrooms. Oftentimes they're right here on our streets. I wish I had somebody to preach to in this moment. The angel of the Lord shows up to Gideon who belonged to Joash, the Abizarite. He was just the son of Joash. He was not a person of great reputation, and he was in a wine press. You say, preacher, you keep talking about wine presses. What's the significance of the wine press? I'm so glad y'all asked me that. See, wine presses are oftentimes enclosed spaces, hidden spaces. Gideon is hiding from Midianite oppression. But the optimal place to thrash out wheat is not a wine press. It's really a thrashing floor. He ought to be on a thrashing floor. A thrashing floor is an open space. A thrashing floor is an exalted space. But he's dwelling in a wine press. We're called to do the work not in the wine press. We're called to do the work on the thrashing floor. But I don't want something to be overlooked in this text. That Gideon, rather than having the advocacy and the capacity of having an oxen to help him thrash out the wheat, to separate the chaff from the wheat and have the benefit of the air to separate naturally the chaff from the wheat, he does not have that. But what he does have on the wine, in the wine press, is he has his two hands. And he's doing the best that he can with his two hands. May I say that to somebody today? If you can't make it to the thrashing floor, do the best you can in the wine press. Do the best you can with the resources you have in the wine press. Do the best you can with the money you have and the resources you have. And I wonder if there's anybody listening today who can testify, if you just do the best you can with the blessing of God upon your life, the grace of God, you can do more with a little with the Lord on your side. Yes, beloved, when you're in the wine press, do what you can, but know that the wine press is not your ultimate destination. God calls us. I feel like preaching right now. God calls us to the thrashing floor. I want to eavesdrop on this conversation between God and Gideon. Note if you will the angel of the Lord shows up and says to Gideon, the Lord is with you, you mighty warrior. And Gideon said, please, my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Note how the angel of the Lord shows up. The angel of the Lord shows up and addresses not the condition of Gideon, but Gideon's identity. He says to him, Gideon, the Lord is with you, and since the Lord is with you, you are a mighty warrior. Let me do that one more time. Clause A, the Lord is with you. Clause B, you're mighty. Okay, let me reverse that. You're mighty because the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you and you are mighty. You didn't get it. I'm going to go on until y'all get it. You're mighty because the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you and that makes you mighty. You're mighty because the Lord is with you. The Lord is with you and that's what makes you mighty. Can I get at least one witness today? Note if you will, context, condition, conditioning, none of those things is initially addressed by the angel of the Lord, because the angel of the Lord is strictly telling and specifically telling Gideon and you and I, if the Lord is with you, you don't need anything to prop you up. If the Lord is with you, you are already mighty. I came to tell somebody today, you are already enough. No matter the circumstance, enough. No matter the condition, enough. No matter the conditioning, you are already enough because the Lord is with you. I know why you're not shouting. I understand why you're not shouting. Let me I understand. I messed up. Let me go back. You're not shouting because I keep talking about the angel of the Lord. Come on. And perhaps I need to explain the angel of the Lord. Yes. You do remember in a desert somewhere, in a wilderness somewhere, a struggling black woman encountered the angel of the Lord. Yeah. And she was literally, Hagar is her name, and Hagar literally is the first theologian. You heard what I said, a black woman was the first theologian in all of the Bible. And she named the Lord. She named the angel of the Lord that her God was enough, because her God was the God who saw her. I came to tell somebody today that angel of the Lord is the representative of God, in so much we believe the angel of the Lord is an expression of God, God's self. And God appeared to Hagar, and Hagar said, you are the God that sees me. Come here, black people. Come here for a minute. Those of us who've been kissed by nature's son, we serve a God who sees us. We serve a God who sees us even when we are marginalized, alienated, forgotten about, overlooked, cut out of the budget. We serve a God who still sees us. God sees you in all of your struggle. God sees you in all of your pain. God is the God who sees you. Our communities that have been cut out, left out, but God sees us. The angel of the Lord is an expression of God, God's self. And God, can I shout you good when I tell you this? God shows up in wine presses. God shows up in wine presses. Have you ever been in a wine press? I know some of us are so holy. Some of us are so holy, and Some of us have amnesia. Yeah, amnesia. We forget where we came from. But I dare you to look back over your life. If you look back over your life, I bet you at some point in your life, you were at the wine press. I bet if you look back over your life, oh, you look good today. You sure enough look good today. But I came to tell somebody, if you were to engage in constructive memory and sacred memory of your own life, you will recognize that God met you and I in a wine press situation. God is the God who stops by the wine press. Note what the angel of the Lord says. The Lord is with you. You're a mighty warrior. And note now the reaction of Gideon. Gideon's response said, if the Lord is with us, then why is all this happening to us? If the Lord is with us, why are we still having the same conversations about police brutality? If the Lord is with us, then why do we have to fight for affordable housing? If the Lord is with us, then why are our seniors being treated without dignity? Why in America, if the Lord is with us, why do we have to fight for clean water? I said America. Y'all didn't hear what I said. I said in America, we have to fight for clean water. Why in America do residents of public housing still deal with environmental racism? Why in America do we have hundreds of thousands, somewhere in the area, 400,000, 500,000 New Yorkers who live in public housing, the size of many of our cities, and yet in New York City, many of our brothers and sisters who live in public housing deal with mold, mildew. Do I have anybody here today? Environmental racism, and I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of pastoring in a context where I'm surrounded by public housing and I watch members who come in with oxygen tanks living in public housing because they can't breathe in America. Well, if God is with us, no, why is this happening to us? I want you to see, as we eavesdrop on this conversation, the response. Gideon said, why is all this happening? And wants to know, where are all the wonders that we saw, that our father saw? We want to know what happened. Has the Lord abandoned us? And here's what the Lord says to Gideon. You go. All right, you didn't hear me. Let me do that one time. Why is all this happening to us? Why are we in this position? And the answer comes back, you go. Gideon wants to know, what is God going to do about all of this? But God says back to Gideon, you go. All right, let me go back and get you. Let me go back and get you. Note if you will, Gideon wants God to do something about the oppression. But God, who has already identified Gideon as a mighty warrior, but by the way, he's in the wine press, has already identified him as a mighty warrior and scented him in the story and said, as a mighty warrior, if you want an answer to the isms of our world, if you want an answer to all that is occurring in our world, guess what? You are the answer. You are the answer. Way too many of us are engaged in a religion where we simply pray, but we won't protest. Engaged in religion where we want to sing, but we don't want to shout in protest. So many of us want to gather in prayer, but we won't do the work in order to bring change in our communities. I want to say to you today that this text is a reference to the fact that if change is going to happen, there's talent in the wine press. If change is going to happen, change will only occur when we look to God, but also see ourselves as a part of the solution. Did I mention to you earlier that those at the top are not interested in changing the power arrangement, but it's only those at the bottom who know that the Lord is with them. Y'all act like you don't know that the Lord is with you. Can I tell you, the Lord has been with us? When we were brought here on death ships, the Lord was with us. How did you survive those death ships? How did you survive oftentimes that 90-day journey here to the Americas? How did you survive the shackles? How did you survive those inhumane conditions, and yet you are still here today? Can I tell you how you survived? The Lord has been with you. How did you survive? How did you survive Jim and Jane Crow? The Lord has been with you. How are you surviving today? The truth is, the Lord has been with us. Oftentimes our framing of our day and our context and our struggle is, why are all these things happening to us? But can I give you another framing? There's another framing for it. How have you survived all that's been happening to us? It's a reference that God has been with us. I want to say a word to those who are agnostic today. Can I say a word to the agnostic? You may be looking for evidence for the existence of God. You may engage in some form of deliberative processes that cause you to look at the elements, and you may want to look at the stars and the sun, and all those things can point you to the fact that there is a designer and a creator. But if you want to really emphatically know that there is a God somewhere, just look at black people. Y'all gonna make me preach after a while. If you want an emphatic witness that there's a God somewhere, just look at a people who have been kissed by nature's son. Black people, you are enough. When you were given the entrails of hogs and slop and leftovers, you have been able to make delicacies. And I was one day I was at a wedding reception. I performed the wedding. And, I don't always stay for the reception because, people want the preacher to leave so they can do what they do. And so they said, Reverend, feel free to stay for the appetizers and the cocktail hour. But after that, we need you to go. And so there I was, and it was a bougie. It was a bougie event. It was a bougie event. And I got there, and I went and I said, now it was dark and all that, and I couldn't recognize what they were serving. I said, what is this? And the server, who was not of our kith and kin, said, this would be chitterlings. I said, what? He said, chitterlings, sir, chitterlings. I said, are you trying to say chitlins? He said, yes, sir, that's it. Here I am at a bougie venue. All right, y'all don't believe me. Y'all don't believe me. Some of y'all like a bougie right now. The other day I went out to buy some oxtails. Sky high. It was cheap when we were the only ones eating them. If you need a witness to the fact that there is a God, look at the ways in which black people have survived death ships, erasure, where in fact it has been about our annihilation, the erasure of our culture, the erasure of our identity. And yet still we survive. Here's what he says. The angel of the Lord, without denying the reality of Gideon, says, you go in the strength, this strength of yours. Religion that denies the lived experience of people never ever meets the needs of people. If you're in a context where your lived reality is never mentioned in a sermon, if all the preacher's talking about is by and by in heaven, I wish I had somebody here. I'm going to get in trouble at the House of Justice right here. And if all they're talking about is by and by and our reward is on the other side, am I the only one here today who says I want justice on this side, not just on the other side? Oh, I am convinced that there is justice on the other side, but I also believe that the God I serve is the God of justice on this side. Pastor Wilcox, I'm struggling with something. I'm struggling with how can the God of the oppressor be the same God of the God of the oppressed? Seems like the God of the oppressor is telling the oppressor to put their foot on my neck. But my God is saying, get that foot off my neck. I came to tell you today that true religion is really about fighting for justice by recognizing that God is with us and we are enough. Let me make my way here because I know that there's a time limit, but let me make this turn. Let me make the turn. Here's the turn. He says this. He says, go in the strength that you have. Somebody today is going to say, that's not good theology, Pastor. How can that be good theology to go in your own strength? It's not good theology. Somebody's saying it's not even helpful psychology for me. I've been doing that and I've been getting the same results. So how could this be a liberative word for me? Well, you can't isolate this word. Go in your own strength. You've got to go back up in the text. Go in your own strength because the Lord is with you. Go in this strength of yours is to recognize that you are enough because God is already on your side. How do you go in your own strength? Well, here's what I've learned. I've learned I will never be able to go in my own strength if I envy somebody to the point that I try to be like them. Take on their characteristics. I've learned that God has made me to be a unique individual. God has given me my unique skill set. I came to tell somebody, you are enough. You are enough. You are enough. The talent that God gave you is enough. The brilliance that God gave you is enough. We literally short circuit our ability to show up in our own strength when we try to emulate somebody else. May I also say to my own people, be careful trying to emulate other people. Because what I found out is other people are actually stealing our culture. Other people derive their sense of being by looking at our culture. But I came to tell you today, I need to tell you today that we need to have a sense of pride about who we are. Pride about who we are. Because, beloved, we are a blessed people. We don't come in one flavor. We come in multiple flavors. Chocolate, and mocha. I wish I had somebody. We come in multiple flavors and diversity and gifts and abilities. I've learned. Y'all gonna make me preach for a minute. I remember growing up. I remember growing up having this conversation with my dad. And I said, Dad, the kids tease me at school. He said, why do they tease you, son? I said, because I got this big nose. Now, you're looking at me saying, your nose looks pretty regular now. But could you imagine being 9 and having this nose? I had to grow into my nose. And I didn't realize it, but it was in the context that I was in. I was in a school where they did not have broad noses. And my father had to say to me, do you not know that good-looking men have broad noses? I said, really? He said, look at me. He said, son, what's going to happen is one day you're going to realize all the oxygen you can pull in, the nitric oxide that's going to nourish your brain and help the bodily functions that you have. One of these days, you're going to appreciate that broad nose. And I've come to tell you today, as a man of color, I appreciate my broad nose. I wonder, is there anybody here today who say, I will go in my own strength? Is there anybody here today who says, I appreciate my kinky hair? Is there anybody here today who will say, I really appreciate my skin? Is there anybody here today? I am satisfied with who God made me to be. I will show up in my own authentic self. I will show up in my strength. I will show up in my strength. The strength that God has given me. Where did that strength come from? Where did that strength come from? I was reading the other day. Do I have a few more minutes? Yeah. I was reading the other day. And I was reading in this text. It said, when our ancestors jumped overboard, and many of them were thrown overboard. I've heard that event caused the change of the direction of sharks. But I also learned something the other day. There's a term they have for blood being in the water. They call it residence time. They call it residence time. And they said, they discovered that blood in the water actually stays in the water. And said that our ancestors are still in that water. And they discovered, and they came up with a framing that said, when the blood is in the water, it stays in the water for 260 million years. Yo, we are a powerful people. We are a powerful people. Even our blood is powerful. Even our blood is powerful. Can I prove to you our blood is powerful? Our blood is so powerful that our blood has nourished New York City, in the building of this city, in the building of other cities throughout this country. It has always been black blood and black bodies. Black blood built America. Black bodies built America. Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina. You can see in the bricks, you can see holes in some of the bricks. And you might ask, what are the holes? Is that some inferiority or some default in the bricks? No. They said that our ancestors who were enslaved built up Charleston. What they would do is they would stick their fingers in the bricks so that somebody would know they were here. Cities have been built off of black bodies and black blood. Y'all, where did our strength come from? Our strength has come from our God, our faith in God, and it's in the DNA, it's in our DNA. It comes and it's been bequeathed to us by way of our ancestors. We are great people because we serve a great God. I'm almost through. How can I, Gideon, how can I deliver Israel from Midian? And here's what the Lord said. He said, first of all, Gideon said, I'm the least. I come from Manasseh. He said, my family is the weakest in Manasseh. And he said, I'm the youngest in my family. He said, I'm at the bottom of this hierarchical structure. There's nobody lower than me. So how am I going to do it? Here's what the Lord said. The Lord said to him, he said, you will do it because I am with you. God does not deny the hierarchical structure. God does not deny the oppression. But God's response is, you are enough. And I remember talking to and communicating with my deaf ministry. I try to relate as much as I can throughout my ministry, and they're trying to teach me sign language and all of that. And one day, we went over my sermon, and the deaf ministry signed for me what oppression looks like. Now, you won't be able to feel this or see this on the radio, but you can see this if you're looking. They said the sign for oppression is this. And they did it with such passion and vigor as they began to press their fists down, saying, that's what oppression is. Oppression gets into your body. Oppression is about being kept down and somebody putting their knee on your neck. It's about somebody economically strangulating you. It's about somebody keeping you down. That's oppression. And God does not deny the oppression. God lifts up the response. The response is, you are enough, in the words of Moses. Responding in the book of Numbers, he said, I wish to God that all God's people were prophets. So many of us are looking for that single heroic person to deliver us. But can I tell you today, you are more than enough. Many of us are looking for somebody to save us from what we're going through. But you and God are more than enough. I'm here to tell you today, we can change the context of America and truly create a democracy in America where everybody is afforded an opportunity and a space at the table, because you and I, with God, we are enough. We can push back against oppression. We can make a difference. I close with the last part of this text. Gideon says, God, give me some time to figure it out. And he said, I'm going to go and bring a gift back for you, and I need you to wait on me. I read it, and it didn't make sense to me. What's the message of that text? And here's what I discovered. God granted the space to Gideon to do what he had to do. And Gideon was a part and created a process. And the response of God in the process was, I'll be here with you. I'll be here waiting on you. That's what I came to tell somebody today. You got to stay in the process. You got to stay in the process. You say, well, Pastor, every time I vote, I feel like I don't make a difference. But you got to stay in the process. You say, every time I march, I feel like we don't get everything we want. But you got to stay in the process. You say, well, Pastor, I'm waiting for legislation to change. But no, beloved, you must stay in the process. And you can stay in the process because guess what? God is with you in the process. And while you're in the process, always take time to give God some praise for every step, for every victory, for every win. Give God the praise. We may not have everything we want, but we're going to stay in the process. We're not going to give up because we believe in the God of justice. Stay in the process. Tell somebody on your road, stay in the process until justice is done in America. Stay in the process till our sons and daughters have an opportunity to be what God has called them to be. Stay in the process until our seniors get crowned with dignity. Stay in the
Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. Gotta have justice. Everybody say it. Everybody say it. Everybody say it. Everybody say it. Amen. Amen.
That was our musical director once again, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet because our pastor today, the Reverend Dr. David Brawley, Senior Pastor at St. Paul Community Baptist Church, led us through a wonderful day today. We thank you so much. He brought it this morning. And I'm sure Reverend Doctor was up in Martha's Vineyard. You know, they got the Loudmouth documentary. I'm sure he heard him bring it this morning too. And we're going to be very thankful because it matters. And we thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. All right. You know, we just have a few seconds, and I really do want to take the opportunity because so many of us, and there's been so much going on, but so many of us were out there back in 2014 when Eric Garner was killed. And just recently, they honored Eric by renaming the square the Eric Garner Square. And his mother, Gwen Carr, is with us, so just wanted to give her a minute to come up and talk to her about what that means and what she's been in this struggle and how it has inspired her. Let's give a welcome to the mother of Eric Garner, Gwen Carr.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, NAN family. Giving honor to Reverend Sharpton, who has been in this fight with me from the beginning. And thank you, Attorney Hardy. You also have been here. And all the NAN family who knows me from the beginning, in the middle, and even now. And I want to thank all of you who came out to the dedication and the renaming of Bay Street. it is now known as Eric Garner Way. And we tend to keep that name, we tend to keep the honor going. We want to honor all the people who were involved in making that possible. And I want to especially thank Debbie Rose. She was the councilwoman who pushed with me so hard to get this, because they were denying me every step that we go. And as they say, if you're running into a brick wall, which I was, you sidestep it and then you keep on going. You just look for an opening. And God gave me that opening, and we did get the street name. So that's why I am so honored. I am so happy that you all stayed with me. And I want to thank my family. They pushed with me. And you know, it wasn't easy. It wasn't pleasant at first. You know, a journey like this is not a pleasant journey. It's a lonely journey sometimes. But as the pastor said, we got to stay with it. We got to keep on pushing. And that's what I believe in. And now, I never thought I would be in this position, but being that I am in this position, I am going to keep on pushing. I'm going to keep on thriving, and I'm going to stay on the battlefield no matter what. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Gwen. Minister Richardson. Amen.
Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it.
He's always accompanied by Chris Garland. We thank them both. I want you all to get on your feet again. I want to give another great thank you to Pastor Brawley for today. It was just tremendous. Thank you again, Pastor. Now, I'm also asking you to stand up because I want to make sure that you find the right pocket. Because you know what we're about to do right now. You know, Rev he's up in Martha Vineyards. They taking care of their business up there. They got the Loudmouth documentary going on. But we got to take care of our business right here. So before we do that though, and because of the significance of the day, I want to open the doors because there's somebody out there who's not a member of National Action Network. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to come forward and join this movement, because we are a movement for justice, a movement for progress, a movement for opportunity. So join us at National Action Network. If you're not a member, I want you to come forward now. Shake the hand of Pastor Brawley. Shake my hand if you choose to. But we want you to come forward. Thank you.
Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. One more time,
like I said, he's doing whatever he's going to be doing. But, you know, as soon as we go and he knows we've wrapped up, he's going to call. He's going to call Katrina Jefferson. He's going to ask Katrina, how did it go today? She's going to say, we had a good crowd. He's going to say, how was Dr. Brawley? She's going to say, he was fantastic, Rev. You should be proud. He was very good. And he's going to say, how much money did we raise? And, you know, Katrina got a little baby. Her name is Kitty. And Kitty cries. You expect Kitty to cry. But you don't want to see Katrina crying. You don't want to do that. But we don't want to make Katrina cry. So I need all of y'all to dig deep. How many of y'all oppose slavery? Raise your hand. That's right. That's a good thing. You should oppose slavery. So every slave master you are carrying in your pocket, I want you to deliver him right here. Because we need to get rid of all the slave masters. All right. I want y'all to be generous this morning again. We want to continue to give Rev a very good report. So I need at least 7 people to give $100 or more. We got $100 from the Guardians. We got $100 from the NAN Welcome Committee. We got $100 from one of our videographers, Winston Gilchrist. We got membership, $350. All right. Any more hundreds? Any more hundreds? All right. We got 100 from our pastor today, Pastor David, Dr. David Brawley. Thank you. All right. 50s, 50s. Come on. 50s, 50s. Brother David, thank you. 50s, 50s. All right. Brother Jude Charles, $100. Thank you. Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn, $50. Thank you. 50s, 50s. 50s, 50s. 50s, 50s. All right, 20 or more, 20 or more, 20 or more, 20 or more. Come on. 20 or more, 20 or more. All right.
want to thank you so much. We want to have our new member come up. Let's welcome our new member. Let's give him a hand as he comes. All right. We want to welcome our new member, Masaka Natambe. You are now officially a member of National Action Network. We thank you for joining us. We are very active here, and we want you to be very active. We have over 30 committees here at National Action Network that are involved in all different aspects of our community. If none of the committees is something that you really want to do, then we want you to come and let Reverend Sharpton know that there's something special you want to do and create a committee, and you create a committee and go on and do it and be a part of National Action Network. Thank you. Turn around. Let's welcome Brother Niembe to the National Action Network. All right. All right, once again, we want to thank Pastor Brawley. We want to thank Pastor Wilcox, also our board member, Steffi Bartley was here. And as always, we want to thank Wayne Carr for being with us. And of course, we want to thank all of you. We're going to let you get out of here right now. So get on your feet. Repeat after me. We're an African people, robbed of our name, robbed of our language, our family, our culture, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. We can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. God bless Reverend Sharpton. God bless Pastor Brawley. God bless Pastor Wilcox. God bless Minister Tyrone Richardson. God bless all of you.